The Los Angeles Rams have not won a game since Halloween, which is very shocking because this is one of the few teams in the NFC that had a legitimate chance of being that lone bye in the NFC just a month ago. First off, apologies if I sound terrible. I'm kind of battling this little non-COVID illness right now, but anyway, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams and if there's any long-term concerns, why they've been so bad, and do they still have a chance of winning the Super Bowl despite falling off here in the past month or so. Since their Week 8 Halloween victory at the Houston Texans when they won 38-22, this is how the past 3 games have gone for the Rams. A 28-16 primetime Sunday Night Football loss to the Titans, another primetime Monday night game at the San Francisco 49ers losing 31-10, then their bye week in Week 11, and then just having lost to the Packers 36-28. So as you can tell by those scores, the Rams are not even keeping these games close. They're getting their asses beat very badly here in recent weeks. And the main reason why, in my opinion, is the turnover differential. They have 7 offensive turnovers in their past 3 games and only 2 takeaways on defense. Even if you have the firepower like the Rams do, 7 turnovers is way too much in a 3-game span on offense. As for their defense, they have not been terrible lately. They've allowed a 300 passing yard day to Aaron Rodgers, of course, but their pass defense in the previous 2 matchups was really good. Their run defense had 1 bad game against the 49ers, of course, but their defense is not really a main concern for me. It's more about the offensive side of the ball. Let's first start with the quarterback Matthew Stafford, who through the first 8 games of this season had a 68 completion percentage, a 22-4 touchdown to interception ratio, and a 118 quarterback rating, and the team had a 7-1 record. So he was definitely on pace to have a great year, and still is technically by looking at his numbers today. But in his past 3 games, Matthew Stafford has not nearly been the same guy that he was the first 8 games of the year. He has a 61 completion percentage, 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and a 77 quarterback rating, and has been sacked more times in the past 3 games than the first 8 games of this season, which is crazy if you think about it. Now, before their Week 12 matchup against the Packers, some news broke that Matthew Stafford might be battling through an injury right now, which is no surprise considering he battled a back injury in Detroit his last couple years, so hopefully Matthew Stafford's okay, but they say it's nothing serious. Now, while the Rams organization may be downplaying the Stafford injury, according to Diana Rossini of ESPN, she said that Stafford's dealing with chronic back pain and pain in his throwing arm, which sounds terrible, of course, but in defense of Stafford, he did make a couple of really impressive throws to Van Jefferson and Odell Beckham against the Packers on Sunday. And let's be honest while we're here, if Matthew Stafford's indeed out for the season at some point, the Rams season is basically over because John Wolford's not good enough to replace Matthew Stafford. We all know that. Now let's go over another pretty important reason as to why the Rams offense has really stunk in recent weeks, and that of course is the offensive line, which has been fantastic throughout the entire season, but the past 3 games has been very underwhelming. I mentioned before how Matthew Stafford was sacked less times in the first 8 games than he has in the past 3, which is just an unbelievable stat. Their right tackle Rob Havenstein has allowed 3 sacks during the losing streak, including 12 pressures allowed in the past 3 games. He allowed 0 pressures through week 6 through 8, so he is definitely underwhelmed in recent weeks. Their left tackle Andrew Whitworth had a really good year overall, but had his worst game arguably against the Packers on Sunday, allowing 3 pressures and 1 sack. And on the interior, the Rams' interior offensive linemen have allowed 21 pressures in the past 3 games, so it's not only just a Matthew Stafford problem, but the offensive line has to get it together at some point. And some of this could be the Rams starting down in a lot of these games, so defenses know there's more passing situations, but overall the Rams have to get back to that 2-dimensional balanced offense that defenses don't know what to do against them. Now, how much has the Robert Woods injury impacted this team? Well, I think it has a lot, and Robert Woods, despite being a really good receiver, does not get enough credit for his run blocking. He might be the best run blocking wide receiver in the NFL now that Larry Fitzgerald's gone. And when the Rams signed Odell Beckham, it was like an embarrassment of riches, but now here we are 1 injury later, and Odell Beckham's your wide receiver 2 and Van Jefferson's your wide receiver 3, which doesn't have Rams fans feeling as great as they did when Robert Woods was there. Now, some of you may have heard this stat already, but I'll say it just for those who don't know. The Rams right now are 6-0 against teams that are below 500, but against teams that are over 500, they're only 1-4. Now, can the Rams beat good teams? I think they can. I think Sean McVay has shown us enough as a head coach where he could do that, and he did it with Jared Goff, which is even worse than Matthew Stafford, of course. And really, a big problem for the Rams that I did not touch on is their slow start in games in recent weeks. In the Titans game, they started out down 21-3 after a couple of very ugly Matthew Stafford interceptions. In the 49ers game, they started out down 14-0 in the first quarter, and in the Packers game, the Rams started out down 10-0 in the second quarter. So between getting off to better starts, Matthew Stafford playing better, the offensive line playing better, and running the ball more effectively, the Rams have things to fix, but there's no reason to think they can't fix these things. The only real concern I have about this Rams team is Matthew Stafford's health, and truthfully, I don't know how healthy he actually is. They're not going to come out and tell us that he's injured. The Rams want us to believe he's fine, but what if this Diana Brandon Rossini report is actually true and the guy does have back pain and pain in his throwing arm. That can be a big issue and lead the Rams to not hit their ceiling offensively. Now, if Matthew Stafford is healthy and does play better in the second half, the Rams' Super Bowl ceiling is definitely still there. They're pretty much as good as anybody when Stafford's right. So admittedly, I picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl before the season started, and I felt a lot better about that on Halloween. Right now, I don't feel as good about it, but I do think they'll bounce back here. They play the Jacksonville Jaguars in week number 13 here. They're 13-point favorites in this matchup. This should be an easy win for them, and hopefully it gets them back on track. That'll do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Once again, sorry for sounding terrible, but I can't help that, and I will talk to you guys next time.